Thank you very much, Honorable Kotzel. Honorable Sebuleshu, Honorable Kotzel, beat you to that. That is our agenda. Honorable members, I've done the opening and welcome. I've done the consideration. We had a mover and a seconder. We are now on point number 2, which is overseeing and scrutinizing the implementation of a progress report in terms of the executive undertakings that were made by the minister. We have received a presentation from the Ministry of Home Affairs, and Mr. Mkhize, I will also ask you to flight the presentation. The honorable members have also received that document, and then we'll be able just to go through it, led by the minister. I'm going to again over to Dr. Leon Schreiber, who is the Minister for Home Affairs, who will be able to take this committee through some of those executive undertakings that he has made. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson Mukai, and good afternoon to you and to the members of the committee. I think I'm seeing a number of names that were also on the earlier meeting with Home Affairs. So thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation. Chair, just briefly by way of introduction, I think most of these are drawn from some of the earliest budget speech, I believe. It was probably the first budget speech that I made to the NCOP. And obviously, at that time, also shortly after the election, it was really about setting out the vision for how we would like Home Affairs to proceed over the full term of this 7th administration. And obviously, a lot of that has centered on the role of digital transformation in addressing the service delivery issues that people do experience. So I think it's a good opportunity and appropriate. We're almost a year into the term of this government now, to be able to have a check-in with this committee on those issues. I'm just emphasizing that they really are where we want to be by the end of this administration. And I think I also made the point, even in that speech, that there are no silver bullets or magic wands to resolve all the issues at once. Nevertheless, Chair, I think what you will see from the presentation is the really exciting progress that we are making on these issues and others. I wish I had spoken more about things like the Trusted Tour Operator scheme in that speech. I wish I had spoken about our work to expand access to smart IDs for naturalized citizens and permanent residents, because those are all additional major milestones that we have achieved over this 11-month period. But I think it is certainly correct that we go back and look at some of those early undertakings, do a bit of a check-in on where we are, and perhaps also then when we have the engagement chair, indicate where plans have evolved and maybe even have gone beyond some of those initial ideas and discussions, or where things have changed along the way. So I think this is a really useful session to reflect on that. And Chair, if it's correct by you, then I'm happy to hand over. I think it's DDG Mavuso who will take us through the presentation. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister.
Just before you proceed, I think on the list of attendees, there is H122574524. Can you deal with that, my chairperson? I'm sorry to interject you.
What is it, Honorable Nowhere?
There is H122575524. It's not clear whether it's a person, whether it's a what. I'm just saying for purposes of procedure that people should be identified who are in the meeting.
All right. No, thank you very much, Honorable Nove, for that. The said device, can you just identify what your name, so that we know exactly who's here? Honorable Minister, it's true indeed. The composition of the members of this committee is actually exact composition of the members of the other committee, the Security and Justice, chaired by Honorable Mananiso. So I didn't really take you through that. But the very same members who were in the earlier meeting are the very same members who are in this meeting. You would know that in the NCOP, we juggle different clusters. We've clustered the portfolios. So this is the exact members who form part of the other security committee. I'm also assuming that the team that you are with, the DG and your staff in your ministry, are the same delegation that was with you in the earlier meeting. I permit that the DG take us through the presentation. Over to you, DG. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Chairperson. No, it's not DG, it's DDG Mavuso. With your permission, also check, can I switch off my microphone? Sorry, my video. Sorry.
You may proceed, not a problem, DDG.
Thank you very much. No, Chairperson, as Minister has indicated at the last budget policy statement that the Minister delivered in this House, there were commitments or undertakings that were made, and we have now provided obviously those updates to the committee. If I can go to slide 3. And slide 2 is just to indicate that there were 6 of those undertakings. So on slide 3 is just to say that we're here to provide those undertakings. And on slide 4 is just to indicate that the first commitment that was made, that the Minister had indicated that in fulfillment of the mandate of the GNU, Home Affairs will enhance our role as an economic enabler by accelerating the implementation of the Vulindlela reforms. So, Chair, the progress, therefore, that the Minister is presenting to this committee is that there's been notable progress that has been made in terms of transforming South Africa's economy and also to address the constraints on issues of growth based on what obviously the platform that has been created by Operation Vulindlela Phase 1, and recently the President launched Phase 2 of Vulindlela, which is a continuation of that. But key amongst some of those areas is that there were a number of Operation Vulindlela recommendations that were made, which were broken down in different categories. And if you go to slide 5, the first one, in terms of that, there wasn't a recommendation that we need to streamline the documentation requirements and adjudication process. And that part has been completed. You'll recall that some of the requirements in terms of the documentation for visas included, for an example, a report from a radiology report, which in the past was used for different reasons, but no longer a requirement. So that's the one area that has been dealt with, and also the adjudication process that has been improved. So that's one area. The second one, Chair, was to modernize IT systems in order to introduce automation. That process is currently on track, Chair. I think the Minister has indicated that process will be finalized by September, where the ETA will start to be implemented during the G20 as part of testing of the first phase of the ETA that will deal with those visitors who are coming to a country for a period of 90 days and below. So that one work is on track. The second one is around the expansion of human resource capacity in immigration services to fill critical positions. This is one of us ensuring that inspectorate adjudication does not get delayed, and we are improving quicker turnaround times. But also the beauty that will be brought in by the ETA is around the automation of decision making. Then the fourth one was around the upgrade on the employment services SA database that was finalized, Chairperson. So we're glad. And then the next 4 have also been completed on the next page, which is the update on the critical skills list, the introduction of trusted employer scheme that has already been done and implemented. It's working very well. And then the introduction of the point-based systems, and also to introduce new visa categories to cater for remote workers and startups. So those are some of the key activities that were made as undertakings during that particular period. Just to indicate in the last bullet that in the visa systems, also the reforms that have been implemented to attract skills and boost tourism. That is why also there was an introduction of TOS, which helps with the issue of tourism. And then obvious, the current e-visa system is still in place. Obviously will be replaced as soon as the ETA is fully rolled out. Then, Chair, on the other commitment was that we're going to have the work visa review, which has led, obviously, to some of the changes, including, obviously, the trusted employer scheme, as I've spoken about earlier, which obviously simplified the visa process requirements, which is quite important for us because it enables companies to get the kind of skills that they're looking for. And these changes really are beginning to signal an improvement, particularly for those who are making foreign direct investment and require certain skills. And as I've indicated on the last bullet is the second phase of ETA, which I've said it will be rolled out to include other categories. Once the September rollout has been done, obviously we'll look at including other categories other than those who are 90 days and below. And then also on the next slide, on the same, on the second undertaking, which is undertaking 2, where Minister has indicated is that for us to be effective in unlocking scarce skills and growing tourism to create jobs, Home Affairs must urgently clear the backlog in the processing of permits. I think, Chair, you would have seen that at the beginning of this year, there was a huge celebration around the progress that has been made in relation to this. So we have also had the launch of the Vulindlela Phase 2, which was done on the 7th of May. So the department immediately drafted the implementation plan for Vulindlela Phase 2. And amongst the action items to ensure that there's unlocking of scarce skills and growing tourism to create jobs, on Phase 2 recommends that the Department of Home Affairs must urgently clear the backlog in processing permits. And then to achieve this, the draft implementation plan proposes the deployment of an online waiver platform for adjudication and the revision of process flows and the current obvious delegation to the Immigration Services Management to shorten the processing time. So we're looking, Minister is looking into that. Then the third area, Chair, was the bigger issue that was also raised in the other meeting on the system offline, where the Minister indicated that the days of system offline need to come to an end because Minister wants to be a minister of online system. To achieve this, there was a need to embrace modern technology solutions. One of the options obviously under consideration was the recommendations coming out of CSIR to optimize the infrastructure of the department. So where we are, Chair, is that the department has acknowledged and shares the concerns that were raised at the time and also the commitment that was raised by the Minister. So in this regard, we have made progress. There are technical recommendations that were made by the CSIR, which were presented to us as part of the medium and long-term stabilization strategy. Obviously, the CSIR was working with the team from Home Affairs to ensure that that particular team is then responsible for the implementation of the recommendations. So one of the recommendations was the modernization of infrastructure and network, that we needed to complete the re-architecture of our IT environment to ensure high availability of network and also eliminate single points of failure. In other words, create redundancy and dual networks, and also transition to modular scalable designs, and also to minimize the impact on limited financial resources. Hence, we are expanding to the bank branches to eliminate to eliminate the need for the department to invest in additional infrastructure and personnel for this initiative. In other words, what we are saying is that there is an opportunity for us to leverage on existing infrastructure from other institutions that operates in a secured environment. But as committee members might have said earlier, we are saying that we're definitely going to leverage on the new CETA regulations to explore cost-effective solutions in the market, because those cost-effective solutions that are there in the market. I mean, if you look at the port cost that we are currently paying through our CETA process, is quite prohibitive, that you cannot have an office that has got 100 meg line, 100 gig line. So you always rely on lower bandwidth. So we also, additionally, we're looking at extra self-funding. We are looking at revenues that can be increased. We have ample of opportunities to generate revenue in the department that we're able to fund back into the department because we have the self-financing capability that we got through the National Treasury. So we're looking at those particular options to ensure that we reinvest that particular money in our environment. The second is around security enhancements. So we've looked at our information security roadmap, which is currently being implemented to ensure that we are secured enough. So we're also looking at threat and detection and intrusion prevention systems that have been installed to ensure that they are not penetratable. We also do our own penetration testing to ensure that we don't have any intrusion from external side, and also looking at the data centers that we have that we utilize to ensure that they provide proper support in relation to also disaster recovery. A quicker other intervention is around the real-time monitoring and observation of systems, because that's one of some of the areas where we should be able to deploy not only human resources, but systems that are able to detect if there's any what we call downtime. So that needs to be prevented upfront. For example, some downtime will find that is caused by a server that is already full, and therefore now you need to clear queues for server to be able to process that information. Things like that need not to be something that contributes to the downtime. But at this point in time, we do have that particular situation. So the issue of real-time monitoring of systems becomes one of those key areas that we are dealing with as part of the implementation of the CSR recommendation. The fourth area around the issue of downtime is to reduce stress on the production system. In other words, if you have multiple IP addresses that are hitting on the same database, it creates a number of queues, because some of the institutions that require verification, they send huge piles of data with which therefore, if you are utilizing the same infrastructure to do production in our front offices, while at the back end you've got third parties that do verification, so they clog the system, and hence you then have these challenges around downtime or system timeout because of that particular issue. So we are looking at ensuring that the third-party data verification has been introduced, resulting obviously in us having a sub-second response time and improved system stability. In other words, migration of third parties is underway, and we are going to complete it by the end of July to ensure that they migrate, they verify separately. And then the fifth area is ongoing technical interventions that we have. We've got a new partner on board who's helping us with the corrective actions that we needed to take on our live capture environment, and also to improve on the downtime that we're experiencing. So basically what we have done in the last 2 years is that our live capture system was working on something called Service Manager Desktop. So we have now moved to what we call Service Manager Web. This is basically an engine that talks to back end and the front end in order for our offices to be able to process clients in front. So we've moved it into a web environment in order also to reduce the purchase of hardware infrastructure in offices. In other words, before you were needing a lot of hardware infrastructure in offices like servers that are locally based. So the Service Manager Web is helping us to reduce those things. So therefore, I think we're looking at much more better improvement on that. That has been actually, those interventions have seen much stability. At the beginning, when we were rolling out offices like in Tiger Valley, in Mitchell's Plain, in Pavilion, there were a lot of downtime that were caused by Service Manager Web, but that particular matter has now been resolved. So we are migrating offices to Service Manager Web. And then on the digital transformation roadmap, consolidated digital identity and intelligent population register architecture has been conceptualized to centralize and unify identity verification, improving overall resilience and integration of the core system. So we're expecting that this project will be done in during the MTF period. One of the key critical things around digital identity is that we need the policy. We are busy with that. But the second part is that we need to be able to conceptualize how our digital identity will look like. In other countries, obviously, they've got different ways to validate and create an ecosystem for digital identity. So that will be our response in relation to undertaking number 3. And then undertaking number 4 was around the technology upgrade. Says the minister said, while the technological upgrades will assist, I intend to review the way in which queues are managed at Home Affairs offices to identify appropriate business process reforms that optimize the existing online booking system and better manage the queues on the ground. I think of the first prize obvious for Home Affairs is not to have queues at all, because people should be able to self-service from the comfort of their homes. So that is the first prize. Obviously, where people are not able to service themselves on the comfort of their homes in a mobile kiosk, then if they have to come to the office, looking at enhancing the branch appointment booking system to enable live notifications to clients on the status of their booking, or if there are any system challenges in the office that might be facing, that will obviously might delay them. But sometimes you'd find that someone has got a 12 o'clock appointment, but you'd find that there was no electricity, or there was some system failure that might have occurred, where the generator didn't kick in, or some localized or national problem. So therefore, you should be able to have an automated messaging to clients to be able to say, your appointment is delayed, because similarly, when the flight is delayed, clients get notification in that regard. But we're also looking at that particular system should therefore offer the client an alternative of rescheduling their booking by giving them the next available slot to choose from. And as I've indicated, that the deployment of kiosk obviously will reroute traffic from traditional queues to a self-service environment. So that's a response that we're providing. Again, undertaking number 5, the minister had indicated that we will work with the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure to address some of the stalled construction of modernized offices in Taung in the Northern Cape, Thohoyandou, Limpopo, and KwaDukuza in KwaZulu-Natal. So in respect of Taung office, there's been progress that has been made. We're expecting that office to be officially handed over in August. I must say that actually we have even moved some of the equipment to that particular office in Taung, as part of starting the process of moving into the new premises. So that work is being undertaken. We're just waiting for that handover and the occupation certificate from Public Works. And then the 2 offices in KwaDukuza and Thohoyandou, those projects have not made progress since the last undertaking, and the contractors on the site have been terminated and by Public Works. So the project there is being the process of being resuscitated. And then obviously the department has also requested Public Works to transfer these projects to the department for completion, because at the end of the day, the funding sits with us. So if they transfer to Home Affairs, we'll be able to appoint a contractor that will be able to finalize that particular project. And then on undertaking number 6 is around the minister has indicated that during the current administration, both passport and ID smart ID card will be refreshed and updated to enhance security features of these documents, with the aim of building trust in more countries and organizations worldwide. So where we are is that we are implementing an enhanced smart identity document and passport modernization program to reinforce obviously the integrity and trustworthiness across the world. This obviously is in direct alignment with the minister's objective of strengthening security and acceptance of our travel identity documents. I think of the most important is that the current smart chip model, which is in the smart card, which is well secured, is being revised to introduce more cost-efficient and scalable and internationally compliant technologies, and that the revised model enables enhanced acquire compliance and also cryptographic features through the integration of an unlimited public key infrastructure. That's the one area. And then the second one, obviously, is the digital identity enablement, where the department is actively collaborating with strategic partners to develop a government-wide public key platform. Obviously, this platform will enhance security of digital identities and also facilitate secure issuance of verifiable credentials into a digital wallet. So there's some of the areas that I think we are doing. Of importance is also, a smart ID card with a PKI. You also able to do match on. In other words, you are able to read what is in the public in the card, utilizing the public key, that information that is there. We're also looking at the cost rationalization through the renegotiations of some of the contracts in relation to what we pay per card for public key information. So that's one of the areas we are looking at that. And also, I've talked about the international trust and also interoperability. And also looking at the lessons learned, we are also drawing we're having a strategy to draw from international best practice, like in India, like in Estonia, and recent regional interventions in Zambia to ensure that our smart ID card ecosystem is future-proofed and is also internationally aligned. So those were the 6 commitments, sort of undertaking that were made during that particular meeting, Chairperson. So we then present this report to the Portfolio Committee in terms of the progress that has made thus far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DDG. I don't know, Minister, is there somebody who wants to add something from your side before we engage as the members of this committee?
Chair, nothing to add from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Schreiber and your team for those undertaking. Members, those are the responses from the ministry and the department in terms of these undertakings that were made by the Minister, Honorable Schreiber. Just from my side, honorable members, I'm going to allow members to engage. You will note that, Minister, there's a very unique committee of the NCOP put in place to track those undertakings that ministers made in the House. And I must say, this committee tracks those undertakings across portfolios. So it does not matter which cluster is it. It's in economics, it's in governance, it's in security. This committee will be able to scrutinize. It's especially a committee in the NCOP that deals with all the undertakings of the members of the executive. I just wanted to indicate that, Honorable Noah, the person that you raised earlier on is actually Mr. Patrick Williams, and he is the DDG for Civic Services at the department. I think he was able to fix his naming on the device. Honorable Minister and team, we welcome those progress made. I would just like to highlight the Employment Services South Africa, which is completed. We take note of those progress. The Trusted Employer Scheme that has been completed, we also took note of that. And the implementation plan for Operation Vulindlela Phase 2, I think that was also a step in the right direction. Just from my side, the other thing that it's a bit of a concern is the stalled projects for Thohoyandou and for KwaDukuza in KZN. Last year, when we just took office, we were in Limpopo for oversight, and there were some other items that we picked up, and it also includes, stalled projects that are not completed. And I'm glad that you are in a process to try to get those projects back from Public Works to the Department of Home Affairs. But overall, I must also just share my impression of the overall progress in the digitization project the department is embarking on. Honorable members, let us engage this presentation. I will take hands. I note Honorable Jane Sibolethu Mananiso. Mr. Mkhize, you'll have to help me here. For those that I can't see, I've noted Honorable Jane, Honorable Parla. Those are the hands that I've seen.
Hey, I've got a problem. Chair, good afternoon. I can't raise my hand. I'm raising my voice, one of the hands. Thank you. Sorry.
Not a problem. Thank you, Honorable Nonkonyane. So on my list, I've got Honorable Jane, Honorable Parla, and Honorable Nonkonyane. Okay, let's deal with those hands so long. Honorable Jane, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Chairperson, please allow me the permission not to switch on my video. I'm in Acacia, and there's a problem with the connectivity.
Not a problem, you can proceed.
Okay. No, thank you. Mine is only 2 issues. With regards to ITA, I'm noting that Mr. Mavuso says that there's a timeline for this particular project, and it's September. So I wanted to check if they have a specific date or week when with this commence, because it is important that we take note that undertakings and petition, it's where we actually trace. So the issue of September, we cannot trace it. We can even give to them to say that they must write a written response with a specific date if they don't have. The second one, Minister, I want to indicate from the side of Gauteng, we have CDW's community development workers under the province. They are working under COCTA. They normally work hand in hand with Home Affairs. So noting the progress and improvement that has been made, and the fact that we are now going to more on digitalization, I would like your department to make use of them for outreach program, more especially for the rurals, because as much as we agree that the research shows that even those who are at the rural have smartphones, we still have those who don't have smartphones. So I want to suggest that for usage of information on where we are in terms of Home Affairs programs that are coming out, can these CDWs be utilized to go and share the information with our communities in terms of what is it that we'll be anticipating? Because issues of Home Affairs, it's for human rights and as well from cradle to grave. So it is important that we must not assume and leave other people behind, thinking that they would get to know where we are in terms of this particular programs. But I fully appreciate the work done and what the department is doing to date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Manani. So I'm going to hand over now to Honorable Pala. Honorable Billy, I noted you as well. Honorable Pala, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Let me greet the Minister once again and the officials, DDG, Tulani Mavuso. Thank you for your presentation. On issues of projects which were terminated, I think you mentioned Toyando and one in KZN. We had a meeting some times back with the Department of Public Works, and we raised a number of issues which were raised by departments. And one of their concern, or one of the matter which they responded to the committee, was that the departments are not honoring their contractual obligations. Meaning that the departments are not adhering to the SLPs which are signed between the departments. I would want to know how is your relationship, how is the department's relationship with the Department of Public Works, and what are other projects which are stalled as a result of those relationships. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pala. We're moving swiftly to Honorable, let me take Honorable Billy. Billy, are you ready? If not, Honorable Nonkonyana, can you go forward?
Chair, honorable members, honorable minister and your team, good afternoon. First and foremost, I must join my colleagues and the chair to thank you for this presentation. Mine is short. Perhaps I may indicate it is also it's a sort of a double-edged sword, because from my side as well, I sometimes criticize myself, as I'm going to attempt to do so to you as well, which may be unfair. But the 6 undertakings, to me, an undertaking is an undertaking. It's not a promise. It's just that if we're going to do a certain thing, you will do it by a certain date. And if you, for one reason or other, you fail to do that, then you will need to be candid to us, or I'll be candid to you, to say, well, I couldn't do it for reason A, B, and C. I must join the chair in thanking those that we have completed, because it's quite clear. There are green things that you have said, you did. But my concern, you see, for instance, is that the immigration services, there's a saying there that, no, this is on track. To me, it smacks what we almost found in administration. No, the matter is receiving attention. And then giving us discomfort as public representatives. It's receiving attention. When is it? Because people, as I indicated earlier on, I repeat now, are in dire need of services. And I must say, Honorable Minister and colleagues, that we in rural areas and in rural towns, we could see the unfair discrimination. Not unfair, it may be too strong a word, but all we can see is that the services that we have are substandard. I'm putting it mildly. But when you go to cities and some other affluent towns, it's better. For instance, I've been to Home Affairs office in Cape Town. It's world class. Services there is world class. I can vouch, Minister. I'm very impressed by all of those officials from the door to wherever. That's what we need. But when we go to all our areas, is opposite of what we found. And hence, this issue that the matter is on track, the matter is receiving attention. I can see that no, all these other undertakings that have not been fulfilled, the matter is being handled. There is, and of course, we are going to do it this financial year, when we were told that by July this year it will be fine or finalized. Look like now there's a change and shift in that vision. All I'm saying, Chair, in a nutshell, there's one issue only, that I would love, from where I come from, that an undertaking must really be an undertaking by a certain date, not promises. Because that's what we must monitor the department on those undertakings. How I wish in future we will frame even the things I was saying, the double-edged sword from ourselves, a clear undertaking, and differentiate between an undertaking and a mere promise that will be done. But nevertheless, as I say, Chair, at the beginning, I'm very, very pleased, DG and the Minister, for the presentation, for the response. But I think on both of us, we needed to improve in future, with a view that once something has been said to us, especially in the NCOP, we take it seriously. And I know you did take it seriously. I'm not accusing you otherwise there, but all I am pleading is that once there is that, let there be a concrete response that it has been done. If it's not been done, be honest with us, we understand. Man proposes, God disposes. We understand those things. There may be something that is unforeseen that happens. It is all in the human nature. Thank you, Chair. I had only one issue, and that's the issue that I was raising only, and nothing otherwise. I'm all fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nonkonyana Inkosi. We take note of the issues that you raised. I'm going to close off this round with Honorable Billy. Over to you, Honorable Billy.
Sorry, Chair, I'm struggling with my gadget here.
Honorable.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Loud and clear, member.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Good afternoon again, Chairperson and the honorable members. I'm also not going to be long, but I do want to start by also joining my colleagues in welcoming the presentation. I think this is one element of Parliament that is very much important, which is probably very much also underutilized because it holds the executive accountable to what they say in the House, particularly in the NCOP. And as this committee were able to then follow through and ensure that what is being committed to is being done. So thank you, colleagues, and I welcome the presentation, and I think the department seems to have provided an update on all the 6 undertakings which were made. That on Operation Vulindlela, I think the department completed over 90% of the phase 1 reforms, which is, I think, a good progress. On the issue of visa system and efforts to modernize again, those are quite clear that there are steps being taken to try and deal with the issues which exist. I mean, I can mention the e-visa rollout, the point-based system, which I think it's a major leap forward in attracting investment and talent into our country. But my concern, Chairperson, remains, I think, with the strides made in IT. I think the departments and the minister particularly has, made a very strong commitment in the House, in the public, and we are seeing some really great seems to be holding back.
You're cutting, but you are clear now.
Yes, sorry. But I did hear the presenter saying that they have embraced the new CETA regulations or proposals, which will see the strides made in the IT or digitization being, we'll see the department taking advantage of not being hell-bent on using CETA, but also being able to explore other opportunities or other stakeholders in helping the department to quickly get to a point where it is modernized. I think that is an excellent thing to hear, that the department in its collectivity is united in conceding that CETA is a huge problem. And I want to commend that. And then the last point, Chairperson, which is on the branch appointment system. I think the presentation does make mention that there are, efforts to try and improve that. I think, I've received quite a number of complaints around that system, and I think we've got to try and do more to get that working. I've been told that you can only make appointments around midnight in some instances. That's the only time you get a date. I think we've got to really enhance the effort to get that system in place. But I note that there is, an update on the presentation which speaks about the redesign of the BAS system and its deployment. And I think perhaps, if we can try and really put much effort into that. But otherwise, I think, Chairperson, we note the progress made, and we accept it as a committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Billy. Thank you very much, honorable members, for those inputs and for those questions, clarity-seeking questions, as you normally say. Those were some of the items raised, and I hope the department and the ministry are able to just give us a feedback on that. You would note that there are some of the items, I think Honorable Mananiso raised, that will require us maybe just to, in writing, and particularly to the ministry and the department, our point of reference as this committee is through our secretariat, who is in the person of the committee secretary, Mr. Nkanyi Somkize, and communication should then be forwarded to him, and it will reach all members of this committee in terms of those written ones. And then I did also raise some concerns. The Honorable Pala, Honorable Nonkonyane, they also raised their issues. Honorable Minister, I'm going to hand over to you, and then you will direct again to which official will be able to respond to the specific issues that were raised by the members. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think I'm happy to just quickly take some of the issues, and then what I don't cover, I think we can refer back to the colleagues from the department. Let me just start with the last issue on the branch appointment booking system. I want to indicate that there are some technical challenges relating to things like the OTP, the one-time PIN, and that's one of those services that are run through SETA. So that's a candidate potentially for resolution. But I think what's really important to understand is that the main issue with BAPS, the main source of the complaints, is actually that there aren't enough booking slots. So when the Honorable Billy says you can only make the booking around midnight, it's because that's how quickly they get booked out. And the reason for that is because there's not enough spaces, because there's not enough bank branches that offer this service. As I've said before, there's only about 30 branches that are part of this, and that's why one of the big APP targets is to expand that to 100 or add 100 additional ones shortly, and then get that up to 1,000 over the period of the strategic plan. That will resolve the issue with the booking. So it's not per se a technical challenge. It is, the demand is very high, which is a good sign. It means people want to use that service, but the supply is still quite low, and that's exactly why this is one of our key targets in the APP going forward. I think the issue of the offices, colleagues, I think it's important also to say this is an example of why bricks and mortar is not the future. It is not. Building in massive new construction projects for government services, routine services, is not the future. That doesn't only apply to Home Affairs. It's a worldwide phenomenon, and it will apply to government services across the board in South Africa. Because I can guarantee you that in places where the office construction has stalled or taken years to deliver, people will be using their banking apps to access Home Affairs services in those areas, and being able to go to their local bank branch because of the digital transformation projects, probably before some of those offices are finished. And that's the reality of both the risk, but also the enormous opportunity we have to expand access to our services without huge, costly, slow construction projects. And I think that's another way in which we're trying to tackle these problems. As the presentation indicates, there has been progress on some others, and engagements with the Department of Public Works on those other two that are proving to be really challenging. But I think the broader point is that that's not where the future lies. The future lies in decentralized, mobile, technologically driven solutions across the board. The question about the ETA launch date, Chair, it's not possible to be more specific than that. And frankly, I think you will find very few departments in any government in the world that is working at the speed and urgency that Home Affairs is working. So the fact that we have lined up the ETA to launch before the end of September, I think, is really a remarkable testament to the commitment of the DG and his team to actually delivering on these undertakings. These are complex, technologically sophisticated projects built around artificial intelligence. And so we can say end of September is our target date for that. But it will depend on bug fixes and the rollout that we want to do. I think the last point from my side, Chair, is really that I think it's the Honourable Nonkunyana who raised the point. I agree about the undertakings obviously being critical, but the good news and the advantage is that the APP that we tabled earlier today, those are the undertakings, and they have now obviously been very much designed and worked on since the government was formed. And those are really the undertakings that the department should be held to over the next year, because those are the outcome and the product of the vision that we've put on the table. So I think that's going to be a much more zoomed in and clear measuring and monitoring tool going forward. So the things in that APP related to some of the things we've discussed today, whether it's the expansion to more bank branches, the launch of the kiosks, the launch of the ETA, those are the things that we will measure ourselves against, and what we've been doing all along. So the priorities, I think, Chair, are very clear as we move forward. This is not a department where you will find lots of words that don't say much. We are very focused on being to the point, being clear about what we are trying to achieve, and most importantly, to make sure that those are things that the people of South Africa, the clients of Home Affairs, that we are addressing the problems that they have, and that we're delivering things that matter to them. And I think that's what you will find in the APP and the strategic plan. But certainly moving forward, I think we have that level of clarity to make sure that we will account on those undertakings without any doubt moving forward. Thank you very much, Chair. And I think there may be one or two more specific questions that DG and the team may want to come in on. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Over to the officials.
No, thanks, Chair. Maybe let me start before Mr. Mavuso comes in. And thanks for the opportunity, and good afternoon to you, Minister and DM again, and all the honorable members that are online. I think on the question that Honorable Nonkunyana, it was more of a commentary. If you were to look at some of the offices that we have opened, and I'll give the Eastern Cape as an example, that's an example. In Lusikisiki, we have a modern office, which was opened 3 years ago, and it's got all the modern features. And I think it's because we used a different model in that province, where we used Kucha Development Corporation to build for us. Some of those toll projects that were referred to by Honorable Pala in Toyando, for example, are under the fold of the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, and we're continuing to engage them, both at a ministerial level. The minister has been engaging their minister, and then at a DG level, and then our CFO and their CFO also have, I think it's quarterly meetings where we're tracking progress, which is why you've now seen some traction in Daung. We're still concerned about Guatuguza in KZN, where Honorable Billy is. That office has it's moving at a very slow pace. Mukopane office is now fully functional, Honorable Pala, a brand new office. So there's a combination where we have intervened through DPWNI, and also where we have intervened through the malls that have been extended. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, DG. DDG Mavuso, over to you.
No, thank you very much, Chair. I think Minister has dealt with some of the issues, but What Honorable Mananiso raised on the issue of CDWs, we currently have an MOU that the DG signed with COGTA. So we are working with those CDWs in Gauteng, for an example, where they were helping us during the pet registration campaign, and also in Mpumalanga. So in other provinces are also activating those. So we're definitely doing that. I think DG has spoken about these projects where we have the construction project, but where we have other projects with public works is where they have to look for facilities for us in offices that are declared, for example, by Department of Labor to be health hazard and not meeting the OHS standards. So in an area like Pinetown, for example, we have been struggling for many years for us to get offices in those particular areas. Then I think the other issue relating to services in rural areas, I guess rural areas, it's a mixed basket. Honorable Nonkoyan, is the issue of infrastructure in those areas, but it's an issue also of investments. That's why if you were to get a satellite link to connect offices so that they don't have to rely whether Vodacom or MTN is a tower there, because a satellite link will work much more better compared to the indoor, particularly in far-flung areas, so that at least the speed is much more faster. And obviously, how best we look after the infrastructure in those areas. As DG has indicated, the office in Lusigi, there's another office which we is in the rural area in the Eastern Cape, which is a very world-class office, if I were to say so, in Middledrift. We set up a very good office there, which is a smart card office. But when you look at the volumes of that office, because it's where it's located, there's not many people because it's between King Williamstown and Alice. So there's much volumes. So we try and redirect traffic to those offices where there are not much volumes, but definitely we have offices of that nature. But I think the other issues, I will take them as concern. I think Minister has dealt with the issue of PAPS, the booking appointments system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, DDG Mavuso. I must just express my appreciation to the Minister, to the DM, to the honorable members who are here, the officials, both in the ministry and in the department, who are helping to realize and make sure that South Africans indeed get the service that they deserve. And I think sometimes, Minister, we don't praise the fish for swimming. However, we commend renewed energy and vigor. We commend consistent energy and resolve to do things better. Minister, we know the work that you and the DM are doing and your team. Indeed, we will hold you to the highest standard. And I think this is what South Africans have been yearning and they expect from us as well. And it's also a challenge to us as Parliament to raise the bar on oversight and accountability. We can only do better. We can only strive for better to make sure that the South Africa that we've always dreamt of will be realized. Honorable members and everybody who's here, ladies and gentlemen, with those words, I would like to come to propose that we close the meeting, we close the session. It's not going to be the last one. Definitely, Minister and team, this is going to be a continued working together with the department. With those words, honorable members, I therefore declare this meeting officially closed. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Hello, Chair. Thank you. Bye.
Bonge.
Erika, Masbonge.